Hello, friends, and welcome to 10 Points Under, where we're taking a break from the V cheese to bring you some V normal. And this is Big Bullfrog, and this is going to be a really cool special episode. I'm really excited for this one. Longtime viewers may recall a time when I brought Doc and Dicelon to cast one of their own games, and I'm going to be doing this again for this game. So we've got a game here between Chris Perkins and Superfrog, and I've got joining me for this game to cast their own game, Chris Perkins and Superfrog. So welcome, both of you. I'm really excited for this.
Hey, it's great to be back on. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we always like talking some scape.
Yeah, it's always a good time. And you know, two great players. I'm really excited to see the insights you bring for this game, especially because there's a lot going on for this game. There's a lot with the format. There's a lot with the armies, even the map. There's a lot of stuff going on. And this is also a game from. I realized when we started recording, or well, I guess as we were preparing to record this, months and months ago, like a good 6-7 months ago.
It's back from September. So this is what, season 37?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the semifinals from season 37.
Yeah, which means
so that was our. Go ahead.
So I was just going to say that, which means that I remember next to nothing about the game. Sounds like you guys fortunately remember a bit more than I do.
It's coming back to me.
I'm ready to relive. I won't give too many spoilers, but I'm ready to relive how it goes. Oh man.
So the whole format's a little bit interesting. It was you bring 4 different pods of armies each, and then you and your opponent go back and forth drafting 2 of them. So half of the brought armies will end up getting played.
Yeah, so these 4 armies are all the 4 pods that were chosen are all my pods, which is kind of funny. I had my pod building philosophy was like, let me take some like VC trash. It's not all trash, but it's kind of trash, and then split up the synergies between the pods so that nothing really works that great by itself, but also you can't like link everything everywhere. So you'll see sneaks on the left, and you have interceptors on the right. Right, there's synergy there that didn't happen. Let's see, is there another one that got broken up? Let's see. Josie goes with the gunslingers. That's over there on the left, and then that's pretty much the different. Synergy. Oh, sorry. Red Ants and Frazier are in different pools, so that synergy got broken up too. So it's just like a lot of kind of meh stuff all mashed together and also broken apart. So Chris, you picked first, right?
Yeah. So I ended up picking first, and the pod I chose first was the Josie and the Tomb Skeletons X3. The reason I went with that pod was on this map, no Wannick, no glyphs at all, actually, and with all the lava sitting across the middle of the map, I thought that range would be at a premium and be something that would be able to be abused, basically to kill a lot of things before they are able to get near you. And between the 2 range squads, I felt that Josie stood better on her own than did the gunslingers. So I took Josie with the hope that maybe I get the gunslingers, but even if I don't, I figured I would have the better end of that range matchup if Superfrog took the gunslingers.
Right, because if you have gunslingers by themselves, then they don't get the turn bonding. So it's probably a mistake not picking first because I deferred that. But it is what it is. So I picked my 2 pods in the middle, so it was a 1-2-1 draft. So I picked the interceptors that go with the Red Ants, and then the other one was Frazier, Curses, and the Nids or Gnids. I don't know how you're supposed to say that, but fun fact, it's just ding backwards. I don't think that means anything, but it is. It's a true statement. So Frazier, that is like the one inside a pod synergy is that Frazier does give his move boost to Cursus as a soldier. That shows up a little bit. Everything else was split up. So I probably considered taking the gunslingers, but then they're just like 2 attack common heroes solo, which is pretty garbage. Although it might have helped in this matchup. You can always live and learn.
With Josie's triple attack, even with it getting weaker too, Josie's still got a pretty good 1v1 sort of matchup going into a couple of common gunslingers. So yeah, and so then leftover, I did end up taking the gunslingers and the big face sneaks with the 4th pick. Basically, all of the pods that I brought were even bigger trash than the pods that Superfrog had brought. So
I'm actually wondering if the Mind Flayer Mastermind might have been an interesting pick for me, just to try to throw Josie in the lava, or something like that. I don't know that I was drafting for the map at all, which I don't. So I was just rereading the pods, and I was like, oh, maybe that would have been funny, right? Lava resistant, Iron Golem, and Mind Flayer Mastermind for some shenanigans. Could have been fun.
Quite interesting. I think the game would have played out very differently in terms of
very differently
early and mid game strategy. So, yeah.
Anyway, we got what we got. So, we'll see how the map plays into it. It'll be pretty apparent as the game goes. So, I think we can just start off and see what happens.
All right. Yeah. I do think like I said, I don't really remember this game very well at all, but I do think I remember some ups, some downs for both sides, and then also the map.
Right. So I decided, I guess I'm starting off with a big Cursus run. You see, I got all my order markers, or 3 order markers on Cursus, and my goal is to just run, and jump, right? And hopefully get something good. I think somebody used that against me in one of the earlier rounds, and I did not like it. So I decided to steal it for myself.
Yeah, Cursus is definitely scary, especially with an army that's packed in as tightly as mine was. Which in large part, I wanted to keep my army tightly packed so that interceptors couldn't come in and do some shenanigans with my ranged figures. But also then being tightly packed is definitely scary for Cursus.
Right.
So there was definitely good counters, I think, from Superfrog's army to both of the various ways I could spread out or be super compacted. So neither of those options are really terribly appealing off the bat, at least while Cursus is alive.
Right. Yeah. So my answer to range on this map is going to be Cursus and interceptors, right? And in some way or another, either I'm going to fly over the water, or Cursus can jump over the water and got his jump be special and all that good stuff. But that's got to take advantage of that while it's going.
Yep. And so it looks like I open here with sneaks. At this point, knowing that Cursus is coming in, a big portion of what I'm trying to do is just avoid having Cursus hit as many things as possible. And yeah, that's me trying to figure out how Cursus works, because I don't know VC units nearly as well as Superfrog does in general.
Yeah, so it's just like the pounce, but then an explosion. So I think I've played that wrong with the Wolves of Badru, where it's like, I want to pounce even when they're engaged, and it's like, no, that doesn't work. You have to choose a non-adjacent figure. And I'm like, oh, when I'm engaged, can I choose a non-adjacent figure? It's like, no, that's not how attacking works in Heroscape. It's like,
I feel like that's a pretty common confusion, though.
Yeah. So after having gotten that clarification that I definitely needed, my next thought was then, how can I sort of set up some sneaks such that there isn't a place for Cursus to be able to bound, even if I have tightly compacted figures at the back of my start zone. where can I force Curses to engage somebody in order to be close enough to get off a good bounding?
Yeah. So let's see. I remember being frustrated by your placement of these sneaks. So, yeah. So that one right there is, yeah. Curses has what, 5 move? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So he can get right up next to that bush and next to this sneak. Yay! Very exciting. So that's some quick denial right there. I think it is actually. I can get extra move if I go in adjacent with Frazier, but of course I'm trying not to do that if I want to use bounds. So.
And my viewpoint on both common squads that I had in this game were that they were very much just disposable screens. I never intended to get much offense out of either of them. They're not good to begin with, and their entire purpose is just to keep Josie and the gunslingers alive long enough to pick off stuff as it runs in.
Yeah.
So I don't really care if Cursus wants to run up and just kill a sneak. That doesn't really bother me, as long as Cursus isn't bounding into like 2 gunslingers. That's pretty much the worst case scenario that I'm trying to avoid.
Do you remember where you put the other one?
I don't. I'm very curious to see where I put it.
Because I do remember just being frustrated with where they went. I was like, dang it, I was not expecting that. So whatever it was.
Clearly I worked on it for a while, because this is a very long turn that I'm trying to figure out how to stop this Cursus bound.
I mean, also super crucial turn too, though, because I mean, this is one wrong move here, and it's just about disaster for you.
Yeah, like if Cursus hits the right spot with like 3 or 4 skulls, that's pretty brutal and borderline uncomebackable from.
Yeah, so I think there's a really juicy spot right here, which is kind of the bottom left of the start zone, where there's a tomb skeleton who's adjacent to 3 gunslingers and Josie.
Oh, this
right?
guy?
Right, yeah. So if I can get there, that would be like the ideal spot. Going for that would be 6 targets, and 4 of them, priority targets. It's always like risky to do that with a. Okay, so there goes a normal attack with Curses, because it couldn't really bound. Just got to do what you got to do. So my plan now is to, now I'm like close enough, that my plan is to, I think, disengage, take whatever hits that gives me, and still get off the bound, because it's just a round 1 suicide Curses. So if he dies, he dies, right?
Yeah, which I think is.
So okay. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think that's the correct way to play this. But I was gonna say, one interesting thing about this matchup is once Cursus gets in here, Chris can suddenly move more beak-faced sneaks to start playing even more shenanigans with placement.
Yes, and I had 2 order markers on sneaks. Again, I mean, and like going in, I definitely knew I wanted to set up a screen, and it ended up being a pretty good counter to Cursus as well. Although I think with Superfrog's army, it's a pretty expected Cursus opening. The army is going to very much play itself in waves. There's not a lot of, especially with me having the ranged component, there's not a lot of reason or ability to slow roll this army up together. I'm just going to pick off way too many ants and
I have no continuity with the army at all, which is something that you get in these like quad pod type things. There's a few circumstances where like you and your opponent have a shared common, right, across your pods, which is like, whoa. But it's really hard to actually get that in your army. So usually you just got these like mishmash armies, which is obviously what you see here.
Yeah, and so this turn I'm going to be able to move 4 sneaks because attacking Cursus, which is huge, because I'm able to deny a lot more bounding spots. And I get
Yeah.
a really convenient two wounds on Cursus right there as well.
Right. So my plan to disengage just got annoying. Right. I still that still has to be the play. But now it's like 50% chance of 0 payoff. And like that's just a 3v3 for 2 wounds. It's the only attack he's taken, and the only attack he could have taken. Right. It's like frustrating that it was so effective, but the plan still has to be the plan.
Yep. And then, I mean, I certainly am expecting a disengage as well. Like it, as was mentioned, it's definitely correct. So I'm just sitting here hoping that I can hit that 50% and avoid it. And there's a lot of spots where I do believe, so with this flocking placement, I made it to where even if Cursus survived the disengage, he wasn't able to hit that sweet spot.
Correct.
And
I can hit
just one gunslinger. Yeah, so the only place he can go is there and target just a single gunslinger.
Yep.
I do miss the leaving engagement.
That is the play, and it's a 2 for 5. Yay! Well, the nice thing about the skeletons and gunslingers is they all have 2 defense. So it's like 2 skulls should take all of them out. Right? So 1, 2, and block. Which has a double downside of meaning that there's nowhere I can place that is not engaged, right? So, like, I guess you still have your order marker 3, but obviously Cursus doesn't like being engaged if he can help it.
Yes, indeed.
So I did go there to lock down the 2. Sorry, I am going there to lock down the 2 gunslingers. Like you make do with what you can do. So just to try to stop them from moving up as effectively. I guess I had another spot that could have done that too. So I don't know. Maybe there was no logic there.
And I was quite lucky there as well that one of the ones that happened to survive was the gunslinger. Because gunslingers are basically my offense in this army. So them making it was a very nice addition.
Right.
And
there's the dead curses part of the suicide curses. So I hope you enjoyed round 1. Round 2 is going to be a whole new experience. It's like every round is just like, okay, gotta switch gears.
And he was unable to get the leaving engagement attack, but he was a little bit too preoccupied with not dying to lava.
Yes, a bit of luck all around. So the leaving engagement, the defense, the not dying to lava, the 1 skull from Cursus that went through on his normal attack that could have not gone through. Lots of little breaks both ways.
And so at this point, I'm pretty happy with the general screen that I have set up with the sneaks. A big part of what their job is now is just to avoid ants or gnids being able to rush past and get up adjacent to take 2v2s into gunslingers. I think that's, in terms of win conditions, the easiest way I can lose is if I just let a couple gunslingers get grabbed by low cost common squad figures that have pretty high move. And so it looks like the gnids are the next wave.
7 move, I think.
Think so.
Something
right.
which is a lot. So again, that's all I'm trying to do here is just run out, and at this point I just got to throw some dice. So I'm looking to just thin the screens. If I can catch a few gunslingers for a 2v2, that's great. If I can catch Josie and maybe get a cling, that's also great. But it's a little bit of a buying time, and stopping from, like, what I don't want is like a whole shift up onto some of that safer high ground with all the range figures. maybe that swamp 2 hex, and even that's just a little. Yeah, down there. That's just a little bit, but even grabbing that with range would be annoying for me to deal with.
Mm-hmm, for sure. And because of how fast, though, all Super Frog's figures are, I don't think I was ever really considering much trying to get a move down to there. I didn't think I was ever going to be able to have the opportunity to set up with any form of a screen. Gnids, as we mentioned, the Gnids are just so fast that it's kind of difficult to get that forward deployment up.
Right.
So right now, again, just trying to block as many routes as I can. Keep those gunslingers and Josie alive, and if they take an attack, make sure that they're being attacked up. Like Josie's got 3 adjacent spots, but they're all on low ground. Gives her a lot better shot at survival, and blocking off the other gunslingers adjacent even ground spots.
Yeah, this map only has a few paths through it, right? Especially that lava that is closest to the center, on either side. That really just makes it so you only got a couple options, right? You have to go above that or below it. If you go below it, then you're going onto height slow, right? You can't go through the middle. That's slow. So it's like you can't even do like one turn in and out onto the other side. I guess there's like one opportunity to do that, right? If you go sand, water, lava, that works. But it's hard to move through this map. There's no good paths through the center, which is interesting. And there's also no safe place to camp in the center. So, it's not all bad, but look, some skulls.
Pretty good skulls.
Yeah, so the Gnids kill a couple of the screen there.
Yep, and
also a little bit difficult to slow roll them because, again, of the lava, to where you can't really just leave them on that lava at the end of the round, so you can't do a whole lot with like bringing up back guys if it means taking lava wounds.
I did move up one additional one up on the top, which isn't great, but I kind of spread both my squads across the start zone rather than like kind of pooled. I don't know if that was a good choice, but I guess I was trying to be able to reach everywhere, but that's not really necessary. I only need to reach towards the range guys at this point.
So it did force me to extend my screen a little bit more because I didn't necessarily know which direction you were going to end up coming from. So I ended up with the sneaks down covering the bottom because that's where you were going. But I also got a set of tomb skeletons making a nice line around the top end of my start zone. So it did end up causing me to extend a little bit more, and I may have to do that anyways to some extent just because the start zone is so long and narrow. But I definitely ended up wanting to leave them there for most of the game to cover the northern flank.
So I can get this turn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can get 2 attacks on gunslingers and throw one down into low ground, and then the one that swings around.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then probably just move up another random guy. I can't remember who I did. But I would imagine the lower one, but no. Looks like
just there. Okay.
Yep, so 2v2 can be nice, but there's one dead, so that's good. And then we'll go for the one that was blocked was on the sneak, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And so one of the 4 gunslingers goes down, which they're still at maximum health, but anytime a gunslinger dies, I'm quite sad.
Right. 2 of them there would have been really, really nice for me. And 2v3, I don't know what the odds are in that. I don't have it up, but it's got to be like 25-30% of as far as like it's very very believable, or like it's happens a fair amount of the time, but it's not something you're going to bank on. But I just really wanted to go for it.
Veggie's app has the 2v3 at 33% chance of getting 1 wound. So certainly scary enough when I'm so dependent on gunslingers.
Right. Okay, so that's another round, and like we said, it's so different every round. So round 1 was curses, round 2 the Gnids, but right, I can't really trust those Gnids up there to.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have 6 left? Should be 1, 2 in the start zone. Yeah. 2 in his start zone, 2 in the middle, and 2. Yeah, but I can't really trust those 2 there to survive anything. And I can't trust anybody else to get anywhere in any good amount of time. So I'm guessing if I remember correctly, I did not put anything on Gnids.
And for my order markers, I have to be a little bit more careful about. I mean, I really want to have them all on gunslingers, but if I lose initiative, the gunslingers could very much just.
It could be 2 of them dead. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a pretty horrific outcome if I've got order markers on gunslingers. So I ended up moving up skeletons first instead, which guaranteed to get a fair amount of attacks in, and then have a better screen in front of those gunslingers at the end of the turn.
Right. So you were saying that earlier that skeletons are not great, which they're not. One thing that is going for them is that they got 3 attack. Same thing with the sneaks. My whole army is like 2 attack. So that the 3 and 2 defense also for my whole army. So the 3 attack like feels different.
It's true. It's certainly an extra. So I suppose in the comparative, they're not that bad in this matchup. It's more of course in general that their weaknesses are apparent.
That's right. Oh yeah, and the flanking is also a weird to play against when like I have to be running into the start zone. Like that's my way to win. And this is like, oh yeah, are you close to us? Minus defense. And it's like I only had 2 to start with, right? Okay, so I did go Gnids. I guess that's probably.
I think it's correct. I'm not going to punish the rest of the units. Like if I overextend to come forward to try and take shots with gunslingers at your start zone, your ants are then able to catch me the following round.
Right.
So I don't think it's really ever worth it for me to push super forward to try to take advantage of a burned order marker.
Yeah, I do sometimes think about that. Is like even if I'm making a risky order marker, like that's obviously a risky order marker, but it's like what goes bad if like I lose that order marker, and in this case, it's like nothing, right? What goes bad, like I don't know, you get your screen a little more set up. It's like okay, so my issue is that I still have to get over your screen, whether it works or not. So the payoff is pretty big, and the punishment is comparatively small. So yeah, I think you're right. Even though past me. Like 3 minutes ago was wrong. Gnids order marker, good call.
But super past you was well on point.
That's right.
And so yeah, I mean, I throw a skeleton down into low ground where you can get attacked from height, but I don't care really if a skeleton dies, that's fine. I just even that 2v3 up at a gunslinger, I'd like to avoid it if I can. It's just those gunslingers are my offense. So Gnids come over. I had a second order marker on skeletons. Again, I was super worried about losing initiative and having 2 gunslingers die. And I figured similarly to, along the lines of like, what's the worst case scenario? If my skeletons are taking turns on the front lines, I'm not going to lose attacks. Like if there are things in my start zone, I will certainly be able to make attacks with them. And I can always reform the screen if my gunslingers are still alive in a better way. So again, I just tighten the screen formation a bit and try to tie down that one Gnid.
Yeah, so currently there's no way to get at so there's no way to get at any of the gunslingers unless I go all the way around the top, like counterclockwise, and then I can get a low ground attack there. Like that's the only way that I can swing in. I can't swing around the bottom, it's too far. I can't jump in water, that's blocked off. There's nowhere to go.
If you're following the chat, you can see again my limited knowledge of some of VC figures that I have not played with in OHS. That was an interesting moment when I realized that they could come in together as a pair. I definitely did not think that was a viable approach until this point in the game.
Yeah, so only one is taking the turn, but the ability to grab to come in together and have that development together is kind of nice. I think one of the other things that I was doing with my pods is I had all these small figures, and so like theoretically I could be like moving my small figures with my interceptors if I wanted to, because they can grab any small figure as well. But and it also works as a counter, because like on a lava map or whatever, I could grab them and do some lava dunking.
This map in particular is actually quite lava dunk susceptible compared to most tournament maps. You'll notice that all of the molten lava are actually on even ground height with 5 of the adjacent lava spaces. So the lava dunking is a bit scary.
Stygian Rift is like that too. In that it has that it's like all same level lava. And that it uses lava to like restrict the paths. But for Stygian Rift, that's like going out of the start zone, and then you have like a relatively open middle with nice shadow paths through the middle. I really like that map. But so this one is like a little similar to that, but then it kind of clogs up the middle with that stuff. Look at that, good defense.
Excellent defense right there.
Yeah, that Gnid knew what it was doing. Held on tight. So I'm a little curious what your thoughts were with developing the Gnids with only one order marker on them, because you end up with a couple of them on lava at the end of the round.
I'm sure that I was not thinking about it super much. But I think at this point, I don't have any expectations of getting anything out of the Gnids. So it's just like if I throw them forward and they miraculously don't die, I mean, there's a pretty good shot that one or both of them survives. And if that means that next round or maybe the round after that I have a play for a couple attacks that I wouldn't have had otherwise, great. If they die, it's like, well, if they're sitting in my start zone, it doesn't help either. So
no, that's fair. That makes some sense. And you'll know that before putting a potential order marker 1 on them if you're trying to grab that switch onto them. So yeah, that's fair. And this is a really nice spot for the interceptors to go in terms of development. I'm never going to be able to get a melee figure adjacent to them there. My gunslingers and Josie are shooting up with Jungle Bush on defense. So it's a very nice little development spot for them to just sort of hang out and wait to make their approach probably next round.
Yep. So I'll be looking for that Josie dive bomb. And again, I got most of my armies to attack, but I have curses and then I have interceptors that are going to get me that 5 dice, which is going to be more reliable at taking out a hero. So that's what I'm going for. Red Claw, the official beverage of this game. No, that's White Claw. Sorry.
And so I go a couple on skeletons, one on Gunslinger and one on Josie there. I think that my thoughts here were that the ranged attacks up at those interceptors weren't super great and were unlikely to do a lot. And so investing a ton of order markers on Gunslingers when it was pretty clearly just the interceptors coming in on this round wouldn't have been as viable. Like I think the Gunslinger's best matchup is attacking 2 defense common squads as they try to run across.
Yeah, it's a really good matchup for them.
Yes, that is quite good for them. But with almost 100% certainty that the interceptors were going to be the focal point of this round, I ended up just putting everything on the skeletons because they give me the best chance at surrounding and trying to kill an interceptor. It's going to get a shot at Josie, and then as soon as it does, I isolate it there and just start smashing it. Well, smash is a relative term, but in this matchup, 3 dice and
3 dice
and -1 defense is a great attack. So the interceptors kill that 1 forward guy and are able to be ready to attack Josie.
So I think my next 2 order markers are on blue and then red, or red and then blue. But I think that, well, it's 1 on each. I don't think I didn't leave the red guy there. I think I'm just going for, if I spread them out, it's less likely that one happens to be the one that dies, right?
Yeah, and when you have them like that, it's really nice to be able to do the 3 and the X on different ones.
Right.
So I mean, I'm pretty sure that the next order marker is on blue, and then I don't know what the third one's on.
Right.
Because
have you ever read?
To avoid that.
Have you ever read Doc's blog post about order markers and this exact thing? So he has this thing because there was conventional wisdom that you never put your 3 and X on the same figure, because then after you do 2, then everybody knows that 3 and X are the same. But Doc has this post that he wrote up, I don't know, probably in 2011 or something, a long time ago, about how if you follow that rule, then it lets people make deductions about your order markers.
Like knowing that 2 would be blue here.
Right. So if you know that 3 and X are never going to be the same, then that lets you know exactly what order marker 2 is right here. So it's like, if you always follow that rule, you're also giving up information. And so sometimes it's good practice, but if you always do it, so it's like, it's interesting. You'll read the whole thing. But
yeah, I'll have to go take a look for that. I definitely haven't read it, but that makes a lot of sense. It's sort of like you need a low variance, low percentage attack, or like maybe 1 out of 10 times where you flip it around.
Right. So we got that 5 dice on Josie, which
that's
once Josie dies, I know. Once Josie dies, then gunslingers are actually to attack instead of the potentially boosted 3 that they are right now. So I'm really looking for that, because if Josie's dead, then gunslingers will still be happy to try to snipe my ants as they go across, but sniping with 2 dice against jungle is a lot more feasible for me than sniping with 3/4 with height against my poor ants. So you could make an argument that I should just be like trying to smash gunslingers, and maybe I should, because it's a relatively guaranteed kill with a 5 on 2. If I can get 2 of those, then it's only 1 gunslinger left. I don't know. What do you think?
It's close. I mean, they're at the same time. If you get like a 4 out of 5 on Josie, that's also pretty much just the game.
Right.
So there's certainly a lot of upside in going for Josie. And she's not that bad by herself, even if I don't have gunslingers in an end game. Like 1 attack of 3, 1 attack of 2, 1 attack of 1. I mean, against ants, the 1 attack of 1 might actually do something too.
That's right.
So it's not. I don't think the drop off is that massive. I think going for Josie is probably good. Like I think if I lose gunslingers, the drop off to Josie isn't that big. But if I lose Josie, the drop off to gunslingers at that point is quite enormous.
So look at that poor interceptor already dead.
Yeah, so to this point, I've had quite good luck with not having 5 attacks murderize my entire army and then being able to take those figures out.
Well, just you wait for this next order marker. You'll never guess what's going to happen. So here comes 5 dice on Josie. Yeah, so it was red, blue, red.
Which I think makes the most logical sense, but again, like you're mentioning, that makes it become a lot more predictable.
And I'm trying to remember why in the world I'm going there. And I think it's to limit the number of skeleton attacks that can go on me.
Yeah, I think so. Because I can only get 1 skeleton now instead of surrounding, which means I also don't get the minus defense.
I can't remember. Is the minus defense for any figure, or is it for only for skeletons?
Oh, actually, at least one. You're right.
It is any figure. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. You're
so
correct.
you still get the minus defense, but only 1 skeleton attack, and that would be even ground too. So there it is, right?
Yeah, and again, the dice are definitely favoring my cause to this point with the triple 2 out of 5s. Yeah,
and 2 out of 5 is like not terrible. It's honestly not. But so there goes my last lava Gnid. Goodbye. But I still have 2 life left, right? And I still got order marker 1 coming up on the red claw, because I can still do the dive bomb and get that 5 dice on Josie. It's going to be a suicide play, right? And you expect to die the turn after, but that's what I need to do right now.
and that's why I ended up covering up with the tomb skeletons, covering up that last spot that was adjacent to Josie, just to make sure it was again an attack up instead of being able to get an even ground. So
now we'll do the dive bomb, which is going to require flying. So flying means you take 3 leaving engagement attacks. Is this where you fly to nowhere? Yes, it is. Here comes.
I don't think I'd ever seen that actually before, which was kind of a cool spot.
Here's the flight to nowhere. Yeah, it is a good play with the interceptors or a common play, right? If you're playing them, you do want to get those 5 attack instead of a 3 attack. But you see, I have 1 order marker on the red clawfoot. He's going to die on this order marker, whether it's mine or yours. So I might as well get something out of it. So
they're interesting, and like the 3 to 5 is a lot of times what you end up seeing is taking 1 leaving engagement to maybe grab height, get 1 extra dice, but then the red, with the interceptors being able to double that benefit by LEAs can become worth it a lot more.
Right, and didn't work. So 2 for 3, and but it is the play. So,
but at this point now, with the LEAs going nicely for me, Josie's just so well protected for this end game that getting anything next to her is going to be, you got to eat through a lot of common squad figures first.
So you do see there. Apparently, I was considering doing a 3v3 on the gunslinger. Which I don't know, doesn't seem that bad. But again, if we talked about earlier, like Josie is the target. So
yeah, I think either way, if I have Josie and a screen, it's a very tough battle for the ants, regardless of how many gunslingers are still thrown in there.
Right. So all the rest are on ants.
At this point, you can actually get a little bit of development time built up on them, because again, I'm not charging Josie or the gunslingers into them.
Right.
There's no reason for my guys to leave that beautiful screen.
Right. I should have rolled 4 defense there, but I had the wrong attacker in mind. So it should have been plus height plus jungle, but still blocked it. And then I was surprised when there was a second attack. I was like, wait, how did you get that?
Yes, those were in fact gunslingers.
Which probably could have figured out by the fact that it said order marker 1 on Gunslinger. But
and I mean,
sometimes
I did that because if I won initiative, the Gunslingers were my best shot of being able to kill the Clawfoot Interceptor before it got a chance to kill Josie.
right, because that would be 2 attacks of 4.
Yeah, and it was to 1 of 3. So that was my hope. Obviously, that LEAs didn't let the damage happen anyways, but that was my rationale for opening with them.
Yeah. Well, I guess if Josie's dead, then it's 2 attacks of 3. If Josie dies, then skeletons are a better play. Because you can fill in, and it's attack of 4 and an attack of 3.
That's true.
Against less defense. If Josie doesn't die, then you get 4-3-2, which is probably also better than 4-4.
I only get to take a turn with 1 Gunslinger if Josie dies, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I suppose if Josie does take the wounds there, but I don't think Josie dies that often. So it'd be
It was not super likely, right? It was a 5v3 for 3 wounds. It's not. I don't know what the chances of that are, but it's not probably north of 20%. See, I'll pull it up.
Yeah, so the chance of 3 wounds is 23.84%.
So it is north of 20%.
Pretty close to that benchmark.
So yeah, that's what my math says. And there goes that. Was that a Gnid there?
Yeah,
finally died.
Tied up Gnid finally bit the dust.
It's interesting. Sometimes you have figures that you kind of want to die, and I feel like at this point of the game, it's not terrible. Like, I got to get my ants in there, and at least it lets me get an ant in there. I was playing a game earlier today, and I had an ant that just did not die. He was blocking 3v1s all day. And but at one point I was like, I really wish he was dead there so I could throw an Einar Imperium there because it was the only spot I could get 2 attacks. It would have been great, but in this case, I'm glad he died. So here come the ants. But I also don't want to grab lava here, order marker 3, because it's like I do have enough ants at this point that it's like cohesive enough you could pretend it's cohesive, right? That I do kind of want a slow roll, so there's the slow roll.
Yeah, the approaching band of ants.
And they're all within the 6 spaces, so they do have at this point, they all have that 8 potential move, which I don't think that can really get much of anywhere, but I can engage that top skeleton.
Yeah, this guy's in trouble. But
yeah, so I can double engage him from height and even. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah.
And so I move up that 1 Gunslinger to take a shot because that ant is at 9 away still from being able to engage. So even if I lose the initiative, that Gunslinger can still retreat back again behind the screen. So it's really just a no downside,
no risk
shot.
Yeah.
And pretty much my play at this point is just to keep order markers on Gunslingers, and then whenever they have completely safe shots, take it, and otherwise just do nothing on the turn.
Right, because if we counted points, you would be up. So it's on me to. It's always awkward when it's like one player has the range, and you're like, well, now I get to force it, but like, sometimes like by the stalling rules, it's like whoever's up on points. So even if that's a melee player who's otherwise in a bad position, you can kind of be like, well, I'm going to make you break your pot if you want to attack me. Let's see. Did I give you that?
You did.
I'm guessing that's. I don't actually own To Call a Jungle that is legit and authentic. This version, I think Leafit made this map. or this top down of the map, it certainly looks a lot more bushy than it does on the ones that I make. But the Virtualscape texture for the bushes is thinner than they actually are. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's slightly bushier on the, like I think he did enlarge it a little bit when he was making his top downs, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. It's
so
like,
I'm sure that the ant is taller than the hex, right? But I do wonder if that's close enough to the bottom of the bush that it would have blocked it.
well, but the bottom of the bush is also pretty sparse because that's where all the stems are. So it's,
that's true.
It's a really awkward line of sight. Like when it comes to line of sight, it's really awkward.
I'm not sure what level that bush's base is at on this map. Like it could be anywhere from 1 to 3.
It can't be 3, but it could be 1 or 0 or 2.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's got to be. I
do
don't
bush
know.
have to be adjacent to 2 to be legal?
2 edges.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
So I'm guessing. I'm guessing it's on like the same level as that water. So like on level
1.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess you would call that 1. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
While we try to figure out the exact nature and shape of this bush, it's got a few more no risk gunslinger shots firing across.
We got 6 brave ants trying to. I don't know. We're just trying to stage enough of them so that I can get a productive attack. And now I am doing the one. Oh no, that is not across the water. I was going to say I'm going to do the jump across the water, but no, that's not happening.
Yeah, the fact that you can't jump straight across the water on this map, so you can there, but like if you go into the
I'm doing it
from the south end, you can't jump straight across because the bush blocks the exit point. At least like if you're trying to go to the dead center of the map, it's hard to describe without pointing. But the fact that it's 2 waters deep in one direction,
yeah,
as opposed to being just a max of 1 water.
It's also interesting. It's kind of makes Frazier not as good with the move boost because normally I put Frazier front and center, right, and then he's really good at sending ants through the middle, and that they can kind of get anywhere. But it's like if I want to be within that Frazier aura, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's not too many spots that are up on that high ground that are in the aura. And then it's just like I still have to go around and kind of like do a windy path to get anywhere good. So it's like not as helpful as it is. And when it's like, oh yeah, here's some road and here's Valda and go to town.
And so I had an order marker on skeletons, which I'm wondering why I did that.
More screening? I don't know.
In hindsight, I'm kind of feeling that this was a mistake because if you had slow rolled the ants a little bit more, this order marker is completely useless, and shots from the gunslingers are nice. Right. I also don't love how I left that one gunslinger by himself to the north where he can just be killed. Like rewatching this game, when I saw the move there, I was assuming I had another order marker on him to suck him back.
Yes.
But it would appear not. Maybe I throw a skeleton up there to try and help screen.
Yeah, but I can still run around the top route with my back ant. He can get a 2v2 there on the gunslinger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll get him that even ground attack. So I think I take that this turn. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is probably just me being a little bit sloppy. Because I definitely didn't need to let a gunslinger get attacked by an ant. They come in to try to kill a few skeletons as well.
Am I going to move the back one? No, just going for attacks. I think, yeah, because with ants, you just want to get as many engaged as you can, and if they survive, that's great. But you can move up guys from the back, even when it's like the opposite of zombies or whatever, where you can attack with any 4, even if they didn't move. So I'm not too worried about that development of the last one, because it's like, well, all I need to do is get attacks, and it's like next turn I'm hoping to not to have a couple that are getting their 3 dice attack where they didn't move, and then I can move up the back one because some of them didn't move, whatever. And it looks like I'm gonna get those 2 ants up there that are not gonna move next turn. So then I do get to move 3, including the back one. Yay, I guess.
And so the ants managed to kill the edges of the flank. So the gunslinger up north and one of the remaining sneaks down in the south.
Right. Still not enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Still not enough for me to get around the bottom to a gunslinger. Because I got to go down into low ground and then.
Right. 1, 2.
Yeah. So if it was all flat, I could do it, but it's not all flat. So I can get an attack. Well, never mind. I was going to say I could get an attack on Josie, but not if there's a skeleton in the way.
So now there's just this big clog of crappy common squad figures in the center on lava.
That was the theme of my pods. So. So let's see. Now down to 3 ants.
Yeah, and the only ant that was previously free to get engaged, one of the ranged figures, is killed.
Yeah. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that bottom ant. Obviously, the top one's just going to sit there. I guess. Yep. So I do that, and this is a initiative switch opportunity. So. I'm obviously taking great advantage of it. But if I do kill that sneak, then I can theoretically do the run around and grab a gunslinger or 2.
I definitely like the move. I mean, you could have actually gotten both gunslingers, I think, if you killed enough things that turn.
Yes. Yeah. So if I do get the kill and then the initiative switch, it works.
Yep.
Here comes the lava. And it's dead. Which, of course, is very sad for me, because I just need a lot of things to go my way at this point.
Yeah, even trades are my friend at this stage of the matchup.
Yeah.
Even, doubly uneven trades, I think, are still my friend at this stage of the matchup.
Right. Well, earlier in this tournament, to make the playoffs, I think I was playing Dysel, poor Dysel, and I think I had Frazier go off at the end after my entire army had died, and Frazier came in and killed Josie and a couple skeletons, I think, to get a very, very undeserved win. So these things sometimes happen, but here's a 2 for 2 with a skeleton. Big block.
And yes. And so at this point, I'm running a little bit low on common squad figures, but there's also only 2 ants left. So
right, so you don't really care.
It's not that big of a they've lasted long enough to do the job they needed to in this format, even if what's left of them die during this round. And so that one I'm able to get flanking on. And the other one just didn't need it.
Yep, and there was another on ants just in case. Again, that was my last chance to get multiple attacks in a turn this game. So
I did have order markers on gunslingers because there wasn't a chance to get to them on that first turn without taking the lead of engagement. So I felt it was a little bit safer. I think if you get that attack on the southern sneak at the end of
right, if that goes through, then your order markers look different.
I probably have to put these order markers on Josie instead of gunslingers at that point. Because I know she can't die to a single attack from an ant.
Like most humans.
And to be fair, they're pretty big ants.
They are pretty big ants. What? They got to be what? I guess one level is approximately a foot. Like medium 5 is like 6 feet tall. So small 2 is like, 2.5 feet tall. Imagine an ant that big. That's
I'll just go on
horrifying.
record as now saying that I really hope I never meet an ant that large in real life. My reaction would not be positive. And so Frazier valiantly tries his final charge.
Well,
He is prepared.
He's ready to. Yeah, he's preparing his own charge now. He's got the very classic 3/3 stats, which are not going to do much, and then you're doing some very technically sound dancing around the pond. Just in case everything goes wrong, you're still not going to lose.
Yeah, this is a particularly rough matchup for melee to chase ranged figures with all of that water in the center.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no way for you to catch them.
I wonder how different this map would be if those 4 water hexes were just sand and level 2.
I was even just thinking like earlier about just switching them out with swamp hexes from the back.
I mean, yeah, there's probably not the available sand to do what I suggested, but yes, you could very easily swap them out with that swamp water from the back. I mean, it would still be a step down, which we all don't love.
But boosted ant, like Frazier boosted ants, could certainly get through there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
and actually
whereas
engaged quicker.
Whereas for this, it's like not even a consideration, right? Like I would never, right? You could pass through the edges on that water, but you can never go through the middle. Oh, and that's the game. Okay, Frazier didn't. Oh, he did get to take 1 attack, but he didn't get to kill anything. R.I.P. Yes, good comment. Tough sledding after I couldn't get those gunslingers down. Tough sledding, right? I don't know. The curses play was big, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, if that hits a third dice off of curses on attack, you have a much better shot at the late game. I mean, I'm down 1 gunslinger immediately, and I've got a little bit smaller screen.
Right. Yeah, even at this point, it's like there's only 2 gunslingers left, and it could have been a lot different. Yes, and you're right. The lack of glyphs, because I did have the potential for board control, because you'd never left your start zone, right? That I think that skeleton is the farthest up you got.
Oh yeah, definitely. I didn't want. I had no reason to leave the start zone.
Right.
So
it's a little Wannock would have been just what the doctor ordered.
I think this map almost needs glyphs.
Trying to think where you'd put them.
I think the 2 sand just to the left of the trip 3 hexes on sand in the north and south.
Just to which left?
Right
there.
That one, and then the comparative other side on the bottom right. That'd be my thought.
4, 5, 6.
Yeah, I could see that. I will say I have played glyphs on this map and put them like right here and here, which does clog up the central pathway, so it's not my favorite, but
that would make it really hard to move across.
Yeah.
Like power glyphs?
Usually I've tried power glyphs maybe once or twice, and I'm like, that's kind of clogged. I do actually like to use treasure glyphs there.
I was gonna say that seems like a treasure glyph spot if I've ever seen one. Because treasure glyphs you don't have to stop on every time unless you want to.
You're a little boost, but
So if there are glyphs, I think a lot of things play out quite differently. Obviously, dependent upon the glyphs, but given the map and given the absence of glyphs, that was going in and throughout my only strategy was just never I never leave the start zone, maximize that range, force waves of stuff to charge across lava to get to me.
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways I lost on the draft, and I had first choice of armies, and I should have done what you did with the draft. I think my default in drafting is like let somebody else start. Like if I ever have a choice, unless I'm like really really sure, which is almost never, I'm just like, yeah, how about you do it? And then if it goes wrong, then it's not my fault.
It was an odd draft. I spent a while trying to figure out what to take first, mostly just because I'd never played any of the figures before.
Yeah, my pods have weird interactions and are also not very good. So it's
Not very good, but better than the pods that Chris brought.
Yeah, somehow, after watching all these poor figures playing, imagine how bad the pods that I brought must have been.
Well, see, I'm wondering. I'm still wondering about that Mind Flayer and Iron Golem pod, because like Iron Golem would have been tough for you to do anything about. I guess you do have 3 dice in your army, and I guess I was the 2 dice army, but like you don't want to be facing.
So which of
6
your pods,
defense.
Which of your pods would you drop to do that?
I'd probably do Ants Interceptors with Mind Flayer and Iron Golem, and drop the Ursus Nids and Frazier. I don't know if that's better, but
so I don't think Mind Flayer is going to become a factor because I'm never going to have Josie within 1 turn of molten lava.
Right. So
I'm able to keep her away from getting lava dumped. Golem is a little bit scarier.
Right.
For sure. Although I think I'm happy to just sit back and take 2x 3v6 and wait for it to go through.
Yeah. No, that's true.
It'll take a while, but eventually he's going to die.
Yeah. Well, you went on to win this tournament, didn't you?
I did, yes. So I played Kevin Dola in the finals, the game after this, and won that. Although I think that I largely won that because I had already played Kevin in round 4 and got utterly clobbered by the draft strategy that Kevin employed. And so I just inverted that because I had first choice in finals. So that was definitely beneficial and quite useful, having seen how to play those armies.
It's always interesting when you get rematches.
Yeah. So it was a fun rematch for sure. I think so. Kevin also had Gnids, so I did.
Oh yeah, he did
face the Gnids in those 2 games as well. But I think 3 games in a row. Then I faced Gnids, and I didn't know they existed before that. So that was a fun little introduction. Never seen them again after either.
Well, I think they came out in the first C3V wave way back in the day, and people thought they were going to be so good. Like the reaction was like, "Wow, these figures are going to be like," and it's just not true.
Yeah. Bless their
hearts. If you read some of the beginning comments of their book, it's just like, wow. Like I imagine how much damage these guys can do to like heroes and stuff. It's like they have 2 attack. Like they're just straight up bad.
Yeah, they need like extremely positive variance on their first roll or 2 in order to avoid just doing nothing.
Right. Mm-hmm. It's like compared to the red ants here, like the red ants are 15 points less per squad, have 1 less move, but like they can get 3 attack, and you can move more than 4 of them, or you can activate more than 4 of them, and like these things that actually matter. They have synergy that can help. It's like
they have a chance against common squads.
Yeah.
Which, yeah.
Anyway, yes, you're not super likely to to see them much, even though they've been out now for longer than most other things. That's I was barrel scraping in some ways for this event.
Well, so I think that on the whole, like that's the strategy of unused C3V is pretty decent. Like it certainly forced me. I had to study for this a lot more than I would have if it was all classic figures.
Fair,
which was interesting.
Throw your opponent for a loop next time. Bring Kazurgiath or whatever that guy's name is.
Oh, the Mind Flayer booster, who's
There's a Mind
actually
Flayer booster?
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
exactly.
He's not good.
I believe that.
I mean, because I can't even remember how to spell it.
CX something something something.
Yeah, that's all I remember. I tried typing it into Google, and Google said no results. So apparently I spelled it wrong. I think there's an apostrophe in there.
Yeah, there is.
Somewhere. No, that's not it. Oh no. I have no idea. I could find it, but anyway.
Probably have to find it by going to the Mind Flayer book then.
That would work. But he like boosts the enslave roll, and that's about it. That's like, but for 140 points, it's like it's just not.
That's a lot of points.
Not
to
worth it.
A bad figure.
Yes. Yes, it's funny if you read the reviews. They're like, "Yeah, this figure is not very good, but it's kind of fun, I guess." Okay, it's like, well, thanks for the vote of confidence.
It's true. I was wondering how what they thought of him, and that's just about verbatim what it is.
Like definitely overcosted, but
I had enough.
I
fun
guess it's
playing him. That works. Kinda, sorta. Dungeon crawls exist, kind of.
Anyway, and then, yeah, I like this quad pod format. I think we're gonna bring it back into the rotation one of these days. If you're hoping that's a spoiler for season 41, it's not.
Bummer, darn it.
But season 41 is dropping within the week, so
within the week. Okay,
I don't know.
So it'll be.
So for viewers, season 41 will have already dropped.
Yeah,
yes.
Probably signups open right now, I'm guessing, because you'll probably have signups open for a couple of weeks, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, so I'm guessing we'll put signups up. We're hoping to put signups up by Monday, and they usually run for 2 weeks. So
okay, so you'll have, let's see if I'm doing my time correct. You should have about a week at least to sign up if you're watching this and you're like, oh hey, season 41, that sounds cool. Yeah, you can check it on out. There will be a link. I'll put a link in there, and you'll be able to check it out. Should be a good time. You can play against awesome people like Chris Perkins or Superfrog.
We always keep flopping back and forth in the rankings. I think you've passed me now, but just scrapping it out around the 15 mark.
A bunch of the players who are above that are just like haven't been around.
Inactive. Yeah. So like the top 5 are all. So among like active players, it's more like 7, 8 ish. But it's funny this season in the playoffs, the top 3 active players are not in the playoffs.
Oh,
because
interesting.
Kevin Dola missed the playoffs, Doc missed the playoffs, Dicel missed the playoffs,
and Doc knocked Kevin out.
2-2. Yeah,
in that round 4 as well.
And before that, I think maybe before last season, Kevin had a streak of making the semifinals in like 10 straight seasons.
That's pretty impressive run.
Yeah. Well, I think this was a semifinals game. This was, I think, my second semifinals or something. So, well, I just made another one today. So, yay!
Nice, way to go! And that's a teaser for something else down the road as well. There'll be another Super Frog Ants game coming up sometime, maybe in 6 months. Who knows?
Yes, that game that they're talking about is from season 40. If anyone, season 40 quarterfinals. If anyone wants to look back at it.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one. I'm
Yep,
looking
yep.
forward to. But yeah, I enjoyed this game. I don't have too much to add. I think it was closer than it seems, like you guys were saying, with how curses could have played out. So like, it didn't play out to look super close in the end game, but there were a lot of variables that could have gone either way. But
yeah, for sure. I mean, Cursus has a chance to kill a couple gunslingers, and the Clawfoots have a chance to kill Josie. And if either of those happen, the game plays out extremely differently from that point forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think it was really good. Just like, I liked the gameplay on both sides. I think, Chris, you were doing a great job of like screening out your gunslingers, especially early against Cursus. I think that was great. And then Superfrog taking the chances that he needed to in order to get the edge that he needed to win. That didn't quite pay off, but I liked it. I think it was a fun one.
Yeah, it was a fun one, even though it obviously went south for me. There was still enough like thinking to do during the game. It wasn't like I ever hit that point where you just give up and you just throw your figures forward and you're like, whatever, just kill them, right? Mm-hmm. This was still like a thinking game all the way until it was just Frazier, right? So it was a fun one to lose, for sure.
And aren't those the best ones?
That's right.
But yeah, so that'll be it for us. Thank you both so much for joining for this one. I had a really good time listening to your guys' conversation. I think the viewers did as well. Really good points, and really cool to hear your guys' thought process going through this game. It was awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Fun as always.
Yeah.
Yep, and congrats to Chris for the win 5 months ago.
Yeah, the good old season 37 win there.
I don't know if you grabbed the finals for that game.
I did not.
That's in your archives.
This is as far as the channel's concerned, this was the finals. So
yay!
There you go. But yeah, do you guys have anything you'd like to say before we sign off, or?
Yeah, just make sure you go check out season 41. It's going to be lots of fun. And there's no drafting, so if you're scared by drafting, it's pretty straightforward. You bring an army, you play it. That's all I'll say. But you can check the link in the description.
Sweet, yeah. And Chris, do you have anything you'd like to sign off with, or?
No, I guess just echo. You should sign up for season 41. Should be. I don't know what it's going to be. I have faith that it will be a lot of fun, though. So hopefully, see you there.
Always is. Always is.
Yeah, the OHS team does pretty consistently good. I would say top tier work. So yeah, I could definitely trust them. There's a reason they've made it into the middle ages of their seasons. So.
Well, there's I was going to say there's only one of us, so it's like we're the top tier because like we are the tier. Like there's no true. Bottom tier. There's no bottom tier OHS. So
you have monopoly power. It's beautiful.
It is true in some ways. Anyway,
I'll start at my own thing just to be the bottom tier for you guys. That way.
Okay.
But yeah, thanks again so much for joining. Thank you, of course, viewers, for viewing, and yeah, had a great time. I'm looking forward for other games in the future. I know I've got lots more games from both of you guys coming down, so looking forward to seeing those. But for now, we'll go ahead and sign off. Remember what a glorious world it is that we live in, and this will be 10 points under and out.